Welcome to another spooktacular episode of Layers TV. We are brought to you by Layers Magazine, available on newsstands everywhere.
And at layersmagazine.com.
Dude.
I am here. Hi folks, welcome back. I'm Corey Barker.
And I'm RC, and welcome to our Halloween special.
That's right. Well, we've got a lot of tricks and treats for you this episode today. And what we're going to be doing is, you know that cool little title sequence you just watched? Well, we're going to take that and recreate it for you entirely in this episode using the Creative Suite.
Yeah, we're going to wind up covering products like Sound Booth
and Illustrator.
We'll do a little After Effects.
And wrap it all up inside of Premiere.
So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to actually kick this off with a little bit of Sound Booth action over here. So.
All right, sounds good. Well, you go ahead and get with that, and I'll be right back.
All right. All right, so the first thing that we wanted to start working on was creating a little bit of creepy music. And we've covered this before in an earlier episode, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I wanted to show it to you first. Here we wind up having an auto-compose score feature that we set up, and we wind up using the very basic haunted score that comes with Sound Booth. So we made some changes in intensity here, and we left these couple parts. I'm just going to get into the spacebar to play it. And when we took all of that stuff, we actually exported that as one wave. But I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to close that out, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside of our course files, and again, all these course files are going to be available on the website. We're going to go ahead inside of here, and I'm going to take the sound. And I have two sounds. I have the score, and I also have this rain loop here. And I'm going to get and put these right inside a Sound Booth, and I'll show you what they look like. So the first thing that we have is we have rain by itself. I'll go ahead and I'll play that. And we have the Sound Booth score that we wind up creating together. And I want to be able to merge them. And there's a different way to be able to get around that inside of Sound Booth. You can actually create something called a mix paste. Now, obviously you can do this stuff inside of After Effects as well, but let's go ahead and kind of play around with Sound Booth a little bit here to be able to get that mix. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this Rain Loop Thunder, and I'm just going to select all. I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to double click on my Layers Halloween show here, and under the Edit menu, I'm going to go to Mix Paste. Now, when I mix paste, what that's going to do is it's going to take that, paste it on top of the original, but it gives us this mix paste dialog. Notice it tells you a section about copied audio and existing audio, and it lets you preview that information. Once you preview that, you can actually adjust how much of the copied audio you want to keep, louder or softer, and how much of the existing audio, louder or softer. So you can mix that all together. Take a look. I'm going to wind up decreasing the rain so that it can come in just very, very subtly. So we have that pretty much all set. Once I know exactly the levels that I want, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click OK. It regenerates the files, and now if I hit the spacebar, you can actually hear that it incorporated both of those files. So the sound's done. Now let's go ahead and start working on how to be able to create that spooky title. I think we're going to wind up needing Corey for this one.
You rang.
All right, so they did the sound, laid it all out, so that part's pretty good. Now we just need a little bit of the Spooktacular text stuff.
Spooky title, so I can do that. All right, cool.
All right, I'm just gonna take the stairs actually.
Yeah, no problem. Hey,
oh.
take that with you.
Oh,
hey, watch out for that step. Well, he'll be back shortly. All right, so as RC mentioned, he's already finished up the sound, so let's go ahead and start creating the actual titles for our title sequence here. So I'm right inside Illustrator here, and what I'm going to do is actually we're not going to go and select the text tool right away. We're actually going to be putting our text on a path and doing our effects that way. So here's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to go over and get my pencil tool. And what I'm going to do is make sure I'm actually drawing with a black stroke and no fill. And I'm just going to go in here. I'm just going to draw a line just like that. And then I'm going to do a second one like this. And let's do a third one like that. So I've got 3 little curvy lines. So now I'm going to go over here into my text menu. We're going to choose the type on a path tool. And what I'm going to do is go right to this first path here. I'm just going to click on it one time, and you can see that my text cursor appears right on there. And here's where we're going to just type let's do it in all caps, the layers TV. That'll be on that first line. So let's highlight that text and change the font. And we're just going to go with this Cooper Black here. It gives me a nice rounded, bold look. We're going to have to make it a lot bigger, so let's size that up. I'm going to hold down, holding down the Shift Command key and then hitting the right arrow, or the right little angle key to size that text up. Now, here's the thing about type on a path. When I get that, you see I've got these lines here that kind of close the text in. If you take the Direct Select tool and drag it over, you see we get that little handle there. That means I can actually drag that text along that path and position it where I want it to be. Now here's the other thing. I'm going to double click on that text tool in the toolbar, and you can see I get the type on a path options, which allows us to change the way the text is behaving on that path. And what I'm going to do is change this to skew. And if I click on the preview, you see now the text is going straight up and down. It's not leaning with the bend of the path or anything like that. So that's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Let's go ahead and add text to our second line. We'll just do the Halloween. And let's highlight that text and make it a little bit bigger. And again, I'm going to slide that along the path here just to kind of center it up. And again, let's do that type path option here. We'll set it to skew. And there's that. And let's do that last path, and we'll type Spooktacular. Now obviously that text went off, so I'm going to double click to highlight it, and we're going to make that text a little bit smaller. You can see the rest of the letters appear in place. There we go. So let's put that skew option on there, and everything's great. All right. So now with our text set, we need to go ahead and give it the creepy, drippy look, kind of a bloody, really just scary look to it. And what I want to do is I need to turn this text into outlines. Now, here's a habit I have. When I'm inside Illustrator and I'm going to turn some text into outlines, I actually make a copy of that text. I'm going to drag this text over here, and I'm just going to press Command or Control C and then Command or Control V to paste a copy right inside my working space here. And I'm going to turn that copy into the outlines. This is just in case I get too far and I want to be able to, maybe I find out I've misspelled something, so I can go back to that text that I made a copy of and change it. And I don't have to go back and redo it all over again. So, good little tip there. So now I'm just going to select the text. I'm going to select that first line of text, and I'm going to go into the Warp tool here. I'm going to double click on it, and you see we get the Warp tool options. I'm going to change the intensity to 80%. By default, it's going to 50, so we're just going to change that to 80, and that's the only setting I'm going to change. I'm not going to change the brush size because I'm actually going to do that in the interface here. If I hold down the Option Shift key, I can actually drag in a diagonal direction and change the size of that brush there. So I'm going to make it kind of small. And then I'm just going to go to the bottom of each one of these letters and just push it down. And that starts to give us our creepy little dripping effect. So I'm just going along the bottoms, and I'm just going to the top of the T here and just doing that effect all over the place. Now, obviously, doing all of these letters would take a little bit of time. So for the sake of time, I've already got these all done. So here is the actual finished title for the Layers TV Halloween Spooktacular. Now, I've gone ahead and created other parts too, which is our names. Here we have the R.C. Gomez Concepcion, and we have mine, Corey Ichabod Barker. All right, so there we have each one of the titles, each one saved as a separate AI file that we're going to bring into After Effects as part of the overall sequence. But now I think we're going to need to bring RC back on because he's going to go ahead and start building the sequence inside After Effects. So let's bring him in. What's up, man? What's going on? What are you doing there?
I was just reading, actually, Terry White's actually got a pretty good article here on InDesign and transparency tricks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, go Terry.
Yeah,
Good job.
let me have a look at that thing. So, you know, speaking of go.
All right. So we got the titling down. And now what I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to start working on special effects all done inside of After Effects. So let's go ahead and make some rain. Now, I have an After Effects file here set up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a new composition. And I'll call this rain. And I'm going to go ahead and go to Layer, New, and I'm going to make a solid layer. And inside of that, I'll call this Raindrops. And I'm going to click OK. Now, I can give this a color and change that, but what I'm going to do is just show you a little bit on the rain here. So I'm going to go to Simulation, under the Effects and Presets palette, and I'll go ahead and I'll grab CC Rain, and it's just a question of just dragging and dropping. So I'm going to go ahead and drag it, drop it, take a look. Instant rain. I can hit the space bar, there's our rain. But the cool part about this is, if you look over here under the effect controls, you can actually wind up changing the amount of the rain by just grabbing this and dragging it to the left and to the right, or you can wind up dragging the speed of the rain. So I can go ahead and hit the space bar. Now notice by just changing the amount of the speed, you have a different type of rain that's appearing here. So, not bad.
Hey, man.
Dude, I have to stop that.
I've got a quick little tip here.
All right.
You know, if you take out a rain, because you're going to have to probably take this and key out that rain and do some complicated steps, quick and easy way to do is, if you bring in that original video file that you're going to be applying this to, you can apply that preset directly to it, and you're done. It saves all that time.
Oh, let's try that actually. Here, let me just get rid of this real quick. I'll go ahead and I'll go over here. Now I have the video of the castle that I'm going to start using, right? I'm going to go ahead and drag that in. Let's go ahead and throw that in there. Notice it shows up inside of the project file. Now I can go ahead and drag that out. There's our video. So you're saying we'll go to Effects and Presets here, and we'll drag the rain on top of that.
Look at that.
Ah, that's pretty good. So now we can go ahead and change the amount and the speed here. And if I hit the spacebar,
there you have it.
So now we've animated all that stuff out. And now all we have to do here is just go ahead and export this out. I'm going to go ahead and do a file export, and I'll export this as a QuickTime movie, and you know, depending on whatever it is that you wind up using, but it's a quick way to be able to get that. I'm liking that. That's good. All right. So we have the title, we have the audio, we have the raining castle now, but we need that spooky titling bubbling effect. So,
that's right. So we've got our creepy looking text. We just need to give it some movement to make it a little bit more creepy.
All right. So I'm going to leave that one to you, but dude, just call. I'll
call you.
Show up. All right.
That's less fun, but I'll do that. So let's bring in our titles that we created in Illustrator and give them a little bit of more spookiness about them. A quick little time saver here. If you just double click in the empty space inside the project window, it'll actually bring up that import file so you can actually get to your files really fast. So let's go and find that Illustrator stuff. So here we go. There's our 3 Illustrator files. So I'm just going to highlight all 3 and it's going to click Open. Drops those 3 files in there. So let's take that Halloween title. I'm just going to drag it right into the document, or right into our composition. So there's our red title. Now I need to just apply a quick effect to it. And we're going to use another preset. And where we're going to find that is right up in top here of the Effects and Presets menu is Animation Presets. I'm just going to twirl that down, and we're looking for the Transitions Dissolves here. And inside that, we're going to drop down and look for this one right here. It's called Dissolve Unmelt. And you'll see what happens when I apply this. I'm going to drag it right on top of that text. You see it highlights that outline of that text. Boom. It's applied my effect. Now, if I take my timeline and just drag across here, you'll see that when it gets to it, it gives me that little spooky little wave about it. You know, it's just really cool stuff. So I hit the space bar and play it through. There we get that. But all it's doing is fading in with that effect. We need it to fade out at a certain point too. So I'm going to let it play through for just a few seconds, and then we're going to go right inside our timeline here. I'm going to twirl this down, and we're going to reveal the effects, and here we have Dissolve Unmelt. And there's the keyframes right there that's animating in that effect. I'm going to move this down a little bit, and let's go to a few seconds right here, right about there. Now over here, right over here by the effect, you see we've got these little toggle switches that can toggle you to each keyframe, but between them there's that little diamond shape. It looks like a keyframe itself. If you click on that, it will input a keyframe with the same attributes as the previous keyframe. So now it's going to animate through and it doesn't do anything, but now I'm just going to go past a little bit, pretty much the same distance as it did when it animated in. We're going to use that same timing as it animates out. So I'm going to move that right about there, and let's take this transition and drop it down to 0. So now when I play it through, hit the space bar, it animates in, that creepy little effect, plays for a couple of seconds, and it will animate out. All right, so there we have it. I think we're ready. We have all our elements in place to be able to bring them into Premiere to put together the final composite. So I think we're going to bring RC back on to get us started in that regard. So RC? RC, yep. Ah, there you are.
So,
all right, so looks like we got all the elements ready to bring into Premiere and put together the final composite. So take her away.
Cool. All right, so now we're going to jump all of that stuff into Premiere. So I'm going to create a new project inside of Premiere. And you can either do HD or DV. I'm going to go ahead and stick with DV here. And I'm going to save this inside of my desktop folder, and I'll just call it Intro. And then I'll click on OK. And looks like I tried to create one. I'm just going to override that real quick. Now, all of our stuff is set up here. And what I want to be able to do is I want to be able to import. We've got the stuff that we did inside of Sound Booth. We have the Raining Castle. We have a couple of other assorted effects, and we're going to throw all of these in here.
Excellent.
So I'm going to go ahead and import, and there's our audio track. So go ahead and throw that in there. I notice it's pretty much straightforward, right? It's just drag and drop. I can throw this right onto that. Creepy.
There we go.
So that's all of our stuff there. Drag the playhead to the beginning, and let's go ahead and import. And this time we're going to wind up importing the Raining Castle. Throw that in there. Again, let's grab that and just drag that right onto the start. So now, spacebar again just to check it. So
good.
It's working.
Good so far. Yeah.
It's looking good so far. So now what I want to do is I want to be able to come back in here, and I want to put in some of the titling stuff that we wind up working in After Effects.
You know, I'm gonna need to jump in After Effects and redo those other title sequences.
Actually, you know what? Check this out. This is really, really cool. Inside of Premiere, you can go to File, Adobe Dynamic Link, and you can import any After Effects compositions that you wind up creating.
That's correct. That's right.
And it'll go ahead and create a relationship between the two, so that if you wind up changing the stuff inside of After Effects, automatically updates the stuff in Premiere. You can even go in and create compositions right from inside of Premiere using After Effects.
It's a big time saver, absolutely.
So we wound up creating, actually we have all of these created already set up for you to download. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to Import. And what I'll do is I'll navigate into our directory here. And let's just take a look where we have these things. So we have the title. Notice inside here we have the title. So that's the title composition that we created. So now that's there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to import some other ones, because we have a folder for you guys for credits. There's the one for Corey. So we'll bring Corey in. And then we'll import. Actually, let's do this the right way using Dynamic Link. We'll import that, and we'll grab RC. And we'll grab that composition and throw that in there. And literally, at this point, it's just a question of just drag and drop. So I'm going to come over here to this timeline, and I'm going to zoom in so that I can take a look at it. And I'll go ahead and I'll grab our layers text timeline. It looks like it has some audio connected to it. You see the notice down here at the bottom?
Yeah,
So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave that there for a second. I'm going to right click. I'm going to unlink that. I'll highlight this guy here and just delete him. And then I can place this wherever I want. So now if I hit the space bar,
there we go. Look at that.
so now we started working on that titling. Matter of fact, I'm just going to single click on this and just resize that in a little bit. So now we have that. And I want to put in some more stuff. I'm actually going to import, let's see, we've got some screams. So I'm going to command click these two guys here, import those two. And lastly, let's get the thunder. We have some thunder in here. Actually, We have some lightnings. Here's our thunder sound. And all of these sounds we actually wind up finding on SoundSnap, which is a royalty-free sound website that you can actually take a look at. And they'll tons of different information. You can download WAV files and MP3 files. So they give you tons of stuff like thunder. And we wind up having our requisite screams. So now we've got to add that information in here. And what I'm going to do is inside of Premiere, I can go ahead and use the scrubber tool, right? Let's just grab this marker. And I can try to place this and sync this with the actual lightning strikes that you wind up seeing in the video. So I'm going to hit the space bar.
Yep.
Okay, so we just saw some lightning there. There's our lightning. And we see that by scrubbing. And now what I can do is I can go ahead and grab my thunder and bring that in there. So if we wind up looking at that together in the composition. So now that we've synced the thunder, the final product actually just has a couple of different WAV files that we've added in there, and all of those files are on the website for you to download. Download them, download all the files, mix it up.
Absolutely, and remember this. This is not as difficult as it seems. As you've seen in just a few minutes what we've created here, and just these simple interfaces, a lot of drag and drop and just sliding things around. And more importantly, have fun with it.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely a lot of fun. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our Halloween Spooktacular episode. I want to thank you for joining us. That's RC.
That's Corey.
We'll see you next time.
Happy Halloween.
All right.